Screen. Hello, I'm your host Nick Coffee, and you're listening to Ministerium Radio, brought to you in part by the Ogden Audiovisual Club. Tonight is very special, listener, because tonight marks the 10th episode of Ministerium Radio. While the words magic number bring to mind the number 3 or 7, I think 10 is more exciting. Pythagoras considered 10 to be a sacred number. 10 symbolizes the musica universalis and the cosmos itself. Through 1, unity, 2, power, 3, harmony, and 4, cosmos, forming a tetractys. The first row of the tetractys is a single point representing 0 dimensions, and the next, 1 dimension represented by a line between 2 points. The third, a plane defined by a triangle of 3 points. And the fourth, representing 3-dimensional space through a tetrahedron defined by 4 points. Binary code consists of a 1 and a 0, 10 being 1010. You have 10 digits. 10 is the base number of the decimal system. To reduce something to a 10th is known as decimation. There are 10 commandments, and there were 10 plagues. That being said, I thought it would be appropriate to read a report from the dimension known as Dimension 1x0 101010. It reads, "My name is Julia, and I am a member of the Church of the Temple of Atoms. Many of the non-believers have called us names. A cult, for one. Paranoid preppers. Truth is, we're survivors. When they came, there was nowhere for the non-believers to go. No way for them to hide. We did. The divine atoms foresaw that they would come, and he saved us." It was April the 10th, 2009. The skies were blotted out in an instant, shading the world with countless ships. They were cubes, enormous. You couldn't fit one inside the Grand Canyon, I think. Everybody's phones died. Their cars, computers, everything was off. Before they could make it to the surface, the world was already on fire. The non-believers were killing each other when those fleshy monsters showed up. I say fleshy, but they're not. Their skin doesn't tear like ours. You need some high-caliber stuff to take even one down. Their only weakness is fire and exposure to the sun, hence the ships. Topside, the world is frigid and empty, save for them. They're already building a new world. It's been 6 years now, and morale isn't high in the Ark. Our space is cramped, and supplies aren't what they used to be. The hydroponics don't seem to be working. That's why I volunteered to go outside. The world is gone. We already knew that the atmosphere was unhealthy, so I had to crawl into this horrible suit. I only have 2 filters for it. That's 2 days. They reduced the buildings of our civilization to crumbs, and with those crumbs they began making those things. Cubes. They're spaced several hundreds of kilometers apart, but they stand out in the mostly flattened landscape. They took everything. The only food I managed to find was 3 radishes. Soft, unwell radishes. 3 of them. Why am I writing this? In all of the nothing I found here between those cubes, I saw a mailbox. A single, lonely mailbox, with a crooked pole. Everywhere I looked was flat plains and dust, all except for the mailbox. It gave me hope, I'll be honest. That's why I'm writing this. Because in my sleep and food-deprived state, I feel like this mailbox might belong to someone. Someone might read this and come to help us. Please, take us to where you are. That explains a lot. Specifically, why there was no envelope for this. The last thing I suppose you'd bring into your apocalypse bunker is an envelope. Or for that matter, stamps. I suppose there's not much we can do. This letter was sent 4 years ago, and that's a long way for 3 radishes to last. If there's anything I learned from that, it's that crazy might be crazy, but crazy can be sane as well, and vice versa. So like Schrodinger's cat, one can be crazy and sane all at once. Until one finds out that they're crazy, of course. That is called the collapse of a superposition. Let's hope they found more radishes. This next letter did come in an envelope, the fancy self-gluing kind at that, and it's written by Martin C. When Father left this world, he left for us many things to sort out. Boxes and boxes and boxes and more boxes of dusty, crackling items. Dementia hadn't been kind to him. This is why we assumed that the 12 pianos in the spacious living room in the East Wing was a confused impulse buy. 12 pianos, all the same. The man hardly even played, at least what I knew of. He left all that to the children. That way it wasn't his fingers under the switch of the music teacher. We were all happy to rid the house of so many eccentric items, soon to fetch a good sum on auction. The pianos, however, created a chasm between us. Ursula, my elder sister, agreed that we should sell all but one, but Agnes wanted to keep not one, but all of them. It perplexed me. She even began to weep when Ursula and I pointed them out to the movers. In the end, she won, which seemed fair. She usually never did. That night I couldn't help myself. I had to know why Agnes was so adamant. I picked out one of the instruments and nearly tore it apart, looking for hidden gold or capital, anything that would explain the attachment. But there was nothing. I even broke a leg, tilting the entire thing on an awkward angle. I sat by one of them. I looked over the thing, still fumbling for meaning. I looked for the certificate of authenticity. Maybe they were in and of themselves worth a significant sum. Hansen's Musics, estimated 1844. Popple Street, Patasquales. Proof of authenticity. Lifetime warranty. The words lifetime warranty perplexed me as well. Was it my father's lifetime, or was it mine? How long, specifically, is a lifetime? If anything, Hansen's Music, on Popple Street, Patasquales, might know something about the value of these pianos. Nevertheless, I committed to test the instrument. It was in perfect tune. I began with my personal favorite, Prokofiev's Dance of the Nights. Then, it happened. The immense room was now bathed in light, swirls of what to my eye seemed to be luminescent waters flowing all around me, and within the waters danced pygmies and fairies. The colors changed. Royal purple turned to a gentle blue, and from blue to some color I cannot name, save for the colors in the stars in the sky. I was dreaming, surely. And for once, I enjoyed it. The little creatures danced around me happily, as if acting out their own opera. As my fingers left the keys and the last note faded, the sight disappeared. I quickly nibbed my own arm just to check, and I was awake. Was dementia taking me? I had no idea, but they say, like most problems, it's hereditary. I placed myself by another of the 12 and played Danse Macabre by Camille Saint-Saëns. As soon as the first note flew, the room became alive once more. This time it became something more appropriate than a living room for a single demented man. It became a ballroom, and it was beautiful. The women were shapely and happy. Their smiles as they twirled kept my fingers alive through a significantly prolonged rendition of Danse Macabre, until I could play no more. I cried and laughed all at once, and for the first time I knew what that was like. I had to try just one more. It was much dirtier than the rest. The white keys were nearly black from layers of fat, grime, and dust pressed into a fine layer. Some of the black keys were downright stuck. Despite all this, I remember the piano smelling sweet, metallic. My mind ran to dark places, and I committed to playing my father's favorite piece, the fragment of a brutal symphony that spoke to his dark mind. Beethoven's 7th Symphony, second movement. What I saw I can hardly express in words. The cavernous room became a house for the desolate. Emaciated, thin men and women, children so malnourished, my eyes burst into fountains of tears. I saw the malice brought upon man by man, wrapped in barbed wires and guns unlike any I've seen in my life. I played louder to drown out their screams. As I did, their screams became louder, soul-piercing. There I was, wailing along with specters, playing my dead father's music on one of the 12 pianos. The spectral smoke whirled and revealed to me what later drove my actions. Mountains of the dead, skeletal, naked, and murdered. Men, women, and children. I wanted to stop the horror in front of me, but my fingers were determined. Along they played as I watched in agony. Mountains of the dead. I questioned my sanity after it was over. However, I left those questions in that very room before I burnt the house down. It's true, I did it. I destroyed the house my great-grandfather built with his hard-earned money. The house that my grandfather and my father both became sad, haunted ghosts within. The house wherein I made a friend of sweet darkness. The house with 12 pianos. That was a very nice story indeed, very nice. However, that is all the time we have for tonight, listener. Have a great night, and remember to vote yes on Proposition 14,809 to legalize clone marriage. Thank you for listening. If you have a story you would like to submit for consideration, feel free to contact us via the email in the description. Also, hit those subscribe buttons and bells and whatever lurks below this video to stay up to date on future videos.